You'll have a seat just for a few moments. I got to tell you, being away from the academic routine this week and next week took hours upon hours upon hours of trying to put some words together that would make sense. I'm going to use a sports analogy just for a second. Those of you who play football know what I'm talking about. The rest of you certainly know. You know, every team has what they call a playbook. You know, for the Jets this year, it's going to be a postage stamp, essentially. Those are the things that might work. But no, it's how do you live as a Christian? How do you actually be a disciple? If you take seriously that, you know, you're created in the image of God, we believe that, we study that, kids in confirmation are going to hear that to death. But do you really believe that this is a way of life that's supposed to be lived, and that you have a purpose here? Every one of you has a purpose here. We were created for a purpose. So how do you live it? Well, for those of you who've been coming week after week, you've been following this account of Jesus as and it's the consecutive readings from Scripture. He's now turning to Jerusalem, heading to his own destiny, which is going to be arrest and torture and death and ultimately resurrection. And he gets this group together, and those of you here last week, you kind of not only heard the Scripture, you saw it acted out in the chancel drama. He asks them all right, who am I? What am I to you? Who do you say I am? And one of them speaks up, Peter, and he says, you are God's anointed one. You are the Messiah. You are all that we hope for. And then we pick up this week where Peter's basically hearing what that might actually mean, and he goes ballistic and says, no, I didn't really mean what I said. And it's kind of like, I'm going to date myself here. There was an article in the New Yorker like 1,000 years ago. And I remember having to read it for an English writing class, and I must have been in high school. And I don't remember the article at all, but I remember the cartoon that was in the article. And the cartoon basically had two people talking about going out to dinner that night. And you know when people are thinking in a cartoon, they have the bubble over their head? So you have the two people talking, and the one person hears the word dinner. Cynthia's smiling. Do you remember this? Or you're not old enough? You know what they say about lying in church. But the one character hears the word dinner, and there's the image of Ruth Chris Steakhouse. Okay? 5-star, $500 a plate, super meal. And the other character hears the word dinner, and there's a picture of McDonald's. They both heard the same word, but it meant something totally different. When Jesus speaks of Messiah, he speaks of something totally different from what Peter is talking about. So let me ask you, you who are believers, we who call ourselves disciples, what's the game plan? How do you live as a disciple? What's our purpose? How do we do it? We can take a look at the lifestyles of 21st century America, and you can see that there's a lot of things that are sort of contradictory in it. None of these are bad by themselves, but aren't we a people who love whatever is easiest and most comfortable and certainly the most immediate? But when Jesus speaks of having a purpose, and when he speaks of the playbook, he says this, you really want to be my follower? Here it is. Here's what we have to do. And there's no negotiation. It's going to require discipline, sacrifice, and obedience. Those three terms. Or to use the words he used, deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow him. It's the only way. And it's difficult to say those words and difficult to live them. But that's what we're called to do. And he says in the process of all of this, here are some practical ways around it. First of all, don't be stupid. Don't be the spokesperson for the evil one. Remember, I said this last night, Muriel heard me. The old King James Version had that great line, get thee behind me, Satan, which my grandmother used to say that to me on occasion. Now I kind of get it. But when Peter is saying, no, you've got to do it my way, Jesus says to him, no, you got to shut up. You can't be discouraging me. You can't be creating your standard for which I have to live by. You cannot tempt me to disobey my Father. And you cannot be the voice of the evil one. And it's a reminder that evil is real, and works and speaks through not only the faces in the news that we don't like, but can speak through us through family members, elected leaders, preachers. And part of our purpose here in life is to be able to distinguish the voice of God from the voice of evil. Who do you listen to? Who do you serve? And never forget that evil is not only real, it's smarter than we are. It doesn't want us to deny ourselves, take up our cross, and follow Jesus. It doesn't want us to share in that life and in that victory. And so the final thing, the final overall part of the plan, Jesus says, look, your life is important. But the only way you hold on to it is being willing to let go of the stuff that's not. Don't waste your time on what is not essential. You know, remember the old commercial, a mind is a terrible thing to waste, and indeed it is. And wasting our environment is a terrible sin, and it is. A life is a terrible thing to waste. A life that God gave us. Don't hoard the non-essentials. A long time ago there was a bumper sticker, don't sweat the small stuff. Essentially they're saying the same thing. Remember how to offer your life in service to what really matters. Who really matters? Who do we love? Who do we serve? You want to find the purpose of your life? You have to learn to give it up, to serve others. So I'm going to end this by doing something I very rarely do, and that is I'm going to highlight something that was read to you before, but now I want you to hear it with different ears. I spend most of my priesthood trying to make sense out of Paul. This is one of the few times where he actually makes more sense than I ever could. So I'm going to take that second reading you heard, and I would like you to hear it again. Not all of it, but just the highlights. You want to be a follower? You want to be a disciple? You want the game plan, the playbook? Here it is. Let your love be genuine. Hate what is evil. Hold fast to what is good. Love one another with mutual affection. Try to outdo each other in showing honor. Don't lag in your zeal. Be ardent in spirit. Don't be afraid to serve. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in suffering. Persevere in your prayer. Contribute to the needs of others. Extend hospitality to those who need it. Bless those who persecute you. Don't curse them. Be happy with those who are happy, and weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with each other. Don't be obnoxious. Learn to associate with those who have less than you. Don't claim to be smarter than you really are. And never repay evil for evil. Take thought to what's noble. And as far as it's possible, live at peace with each other. That's what we're called to do. That's our purpose. That's who we are. Amen.
Amen.